My message of hope and collaboration to the youth out there is that you never know how big of an impact you're making. It shouldn't necessarily be tied into numbers, but reaching out to that one person, those 2 people, 3 people, your impact is your superpower. My name is Nora Munyao. I am a proud alum of the Kennedy Luga Youth Exchange and Study program. I participated in the year 2019-2020. So currently, I am a student at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. I am pursuing mathematics and computer science. What drew me to participate in the Kennedy Luga Youth Exchange and Study program was my love for adventure. I wanted a story that was just beyond textbooks and exams. I wanted to get out there and get out of my comfort zone. So when I went to high school and they came and talked to us about the youth exchange and study program, I was like, this is something I'm interested in. So I knew right from the word go, this is something I want, and I went for it. I started working with the elderly community after I went from our exchange. And the reason for this is because I was placed in an elderly community setting, which was something I was not aware of, by the way, when I went. So upon going, I was expecting the sold out film US experience. But then when I got there, it was, oh, okay. It's more like people like my grandparents. It was quite an adjustment for me, but being there has been one of the best experiences. And my interaction with them brought out this interest in elder care that I did not have before going for my exchange. And that is where my passion came from. My personal story or connection to the mental well-being of the elderly is my realization that mental health is not something that retires. It's something that cuts across all ages. And after going for my exchange, when I came back, I started to notice more of some of the mental health gaps in my community, and I was better positioned to actually acknowledge that, yeah, this is actually a problem that we need to shed more light on, because the elderly community, not just in my community, but also in Kenya, are people who are just left to the background. And it's mostly pushed for the youth or for the children, but we forget that our libraries also need some of this attention. And they're just as much deserving as any other person of mental well-being and health. So after my exchange program, it was during COVID. It was a very volatile time. So of course I was kind of disappointed that my program did not come to an end, especially because I didn't go for prom, but it's okay. So after coming back, I had to go back to my high school and finish KCSE. So I was majorly focused on that. So after finishing my KCSE, I went to my country home for about a month. And that is when I started to actually see some of these gaps in the community. And it started actually from home with my grandpa. Let me just give a specific example. He would put like almost 4 tablespoons of sugar, and he's diabetic. He's not supposed to take that much sugar. In fact, he's not supposed to take sugar at all. But then he'll tell you something like, I've lived my entire life taking this sugar and it hasn't killed me, so why would I, you know? And I started to realize that out of ignorance, he was just doing some things that he didn't really get how they would affect his health, especially considering he's been doing something like that for a very long time. And so I started to educate them slowly and tell him, when you continue to do this, this and this is gonna happen. You know, yes, you do have this condition. It's not gonna heal, but you need to ensure you do whatever the doctor says to keep your health better, to keep you better, and us better. Because when grandpa is okay, everybody's okay, right? Yeah. So I started to educate him on that. I started to write down some of the dietary needs that he needed. in a language that he understands, because when you go to the doctor, maybe he'll speak Swahili or English, but when we go home, he's like, oh, no, what is this? So I have to translate it to him and actually write it down like a timetable. So I'm like, you're allowed to eat this, this, and this. You're not allowed to eat this, this, and this. And so it became easier for him to actually separate or be more aware of his dietary restrictions. And so that is how I started. And I started to realize that it's not only a problem that was at our home, but in the community at large. You'd find maybe a friend came over to visit, and you're like, oh, but you have this condition. Have you taken your meds? No. Did you carry them? No. I actually even forgot last night. And so you start to realize some of these ignorances that the community is actually carrying around, and you realize this is a gap that you need to fill. And in as much as it is not yet a very big project, wherever we are trying to educate the members more. Yeah, we have a group of about 5 of us who go around helping them writing their dietary restrictions in a language that they understand. Language barrier is a very big problem there, because when they go to the doctors, even their prescriptions are written in English, but then some of them don't even quite understand that. You tell somebody you're supposed to take more fiber, they do not know what fiber is, you know, so you have to translate it to them into something that they actually can't comprehend. So that is what we're currently doing, as well as promoting mental well-being, which is something that is also being promoted over the radio. It is very helpful. So how we go about mental well-being, we're very patient with them. Of course, you have to be very patient with the elderly community. And we also use channels like the radio. So if you want to start a mental conversation, you will maybe say something that one of the broadcasting journalists said, and then you tie it to that. And so you provoke, you give them like thought-provoking questions so that they get to talk about it, because that is something that we all need to talk about. You know, for example, loss is something that everybody undergoes, you know, be it an elder, be it a kid, be it a youth, and we all need to acknowledge that these are all things that affect us, and it is high time that we start giving the elderly as much attention as they actually need. So how we have conversations around mental health in a respectful way is by tying it to occurrences that are happening in the community. You know, for instance, if there is a loss, the African setting is very communal, or wherever I come from in my village, we are very communal. So if there is a loss somewhere, there will be meetings in that place. So what we do is we go and we ask the community members, can we please get 5 minutes of your time to talk about this? So because at the moment, everybody is more on, we need to contribute money for this and this and that, but the emotional support is just not there. So those 5 minutes, we maximize them and get to talk about mental health in a way that they understand. And we tell them, you are going through this and this. And because loss is actually felt after everything is done, you know? So that's when we get to talk about it. And yeah, we also relate it to radio sessions or broadcasting radio channels. It is one of the most used broadcasting channels. So say somebody said something, we take it and then we relate it to them, because those are very popular people. So when you're talking about, oh, this one said this and this and that, you tie it to that, you know. Or when they are broadcasting maybe funerals that are upcoming, you just take that initiative and talk to them. So how do you go through loss? Or, you know, you just find a way to tie mental well-being conversations. And they are not just focused on loss, they're focused on everyday scenarios. You know, sometimes someone just wakes up and they're not having a good day, and it's okay. So sometimes even my grandpa will just wake up and he doesn't feel like talking to people. So you don't, we push for more accommodation in the society. So if he doesn't want to talk, even the people around him, you just say, it's okay for him not to want to talk every other time. It happens to each and every one of us, and it makes it easier for the community to be more accommodative of every other person. My message of hope and collaboration to the youth out there is that you never know how big of an impact you're making. It shouldn't necessarily be tied into numbers, but reaching out to that one person, those 2 people, 3 people, your impact is your superpower. And each and every one of us who's been through these programs, we have learned skills, we have learned how to be adaptable, we have learned how to be independent. You can harness those skills and come up with something, because I do believe that each and every one of us carries a spark that with collaboration we can light up the world. My dream for my project is to have a community hub where the elderly can get medical help, and not just that, but social and emotional, because that is something that is very lacking in my community, and I have also benchmarked in other places, and it is something that is lacking. In the very least, we do have medical centers, but they're not even as equipped, you know. So my dream for my program is to have community hubs where the elderly can find care, support, and love that they need. And not only that, but I also want and I dream of having and conducting workshops where we educate the elderly people on matters mental health, dietary restriction, and basically just how to be happy and how to be healthy. Yeah. Something I would love to add is that my host family played a very key role in what I am doing right now. I won't say what their age was, but they were very patient with me, and I think they just understood that I had not really interacted with people of their age that much. And considering I had to stay with them like for a whole 9 months, it was a learning curve for both of us, you know. And I feel like had I gone to a different family or a different place, I don't think I would be taking on what I'm taking on right now. And I just feel like that was the most impactful thing for me. They were very patient. They taught me how to do things. They were very supportive. They told me what, they taught me what, they were very they were very good at communication in telling me that, we prefer doing things this way. We do not do this. Or if they have dietary restrictions, they will tell me, so we're not going to be having this in the house, but if you really need it, it's okay. And I feel like that is, my host family is the reason why I do what I do. So the application process for the Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study is very easy. I mean, if I did it, anybody can do it. Applications normally open around September. So if you are interested in participating for the exchange, you can go to the website, Kennedy Lugar Youth Exchange and Study, apply for the program. Shortly after, you will be conducted for an interview. After the interview, we normally get people from different chapters. So all the people from the different chapters who've been shortlisted have to go again for another interview. And then, now that is the national interview. After that, they shortlist to the number of exchange participants that are required. And after the shortlisting, the process begins, processing of visas and passports if they're not yet there. So after being shortlisted, of course, you do have to get your visa, passport and all. After that, you are placed with a US family for the entire duration of the 1 year. So it's basically all what you're doing here with your family, just in another setting with a different family. Yeah. So things to expect is a new high school experience. Of course, you will have to join a new high school, the US high school in the state in which you will be placed at. So that is gonna come with a lot of experiences, a lot of culture shock. I mean, Kenya and the US, you're definitely getting shocked, you know. It's gonna come with a lot of exposure, a lot of growth, and a lot of fun. You know, let's not leave out a very important bit, a lot of fun. So yeah, those are some of the things to expect. And to be ready for exchange, you just have to want it. You know, are you somebody who loves adventure? Do you like being out there? Do you like getting out of your comfort zone? Because going on exchange gets you out of your comfort zone, and there is no magnitude to how much outside you will go. So you just have to be ready to, yeah, this is something I want. I want to be independent, I want to be adaptable, and I want to learn. I would love to send a message of hope to each and every young person out there that yes, you can make impact. It doesn't matter the magnitude, just make impact. And I do believe that we all do carry a spark within us, that if we cultivate on that spark, we are capable of lighting the entire world. So cultivate your spark and light up the world.